Hey, this is Jeff. You're here with a HODL review on the chain. Have you ever sat back and thought, how can we make lemonade out of the lemons that we're being dealt right now? Here we are, everybody's stuck in their homes. We're seeing the economy crashing, but yet blockchain and cryptocurrency seems to be growing. There's news every single day. Let's talk about it right now. Boom!
And now, the HODL Review with Jeff on the chain.
All right, so man, I wanted to make sure my mic was working. Last time I did this, it was like silent treatment, completely silent. So I'm reading through a number of these articles, and man, we look around. We've been talking about, what's been happening. Hey, how do we defend our freedoms? Everybody's stuck in their homes. Again, the economy's crashing. All this bad information, all this bad news, but yet every night, every day we gather here on YouTube and we're reading about the advancements in the blockchain space. We're reading about the advancements of central bank digital currencies. Whether they're centralized or decentralized, the point is the conversation keeps moving forward. They're talking about the digitization of the economy. Chip made a really interesting video yesterday about how the country of Ukraine is running a pilot program. And then we're seeing country after country after country running pilot programs to roll out their central bank digital currencies. We saw the US talking about a digital dollar, not really cryptocurrency, not really something we want. We have China talking about their central bank digital currency. We have all these countries. We've talked about it. Many times, actually. But what I wanted to focus on is how do we all sit back and start feeling good again? How do we take that next step forward as society and communities are opening up back up around the world, and we go back into the normal routine of life again? Albeit it'll just be a little bit different. But again, with all of this negativity and the stress and the emotions, what was really amazing to me is that here we sat again as a community in the cryptocurrency space and the blockchain space, and we learned that life continues, that things are developing, that things are changing for the better. And I was reading this interesting article about, and it really just highlighted the point to me, that the overall concept was, this isn't the article. I've got the article over here on my phone, so just bear with me as I think about it. But the idea was that that actually having this pandemic scenario was actually beneficial to the blockchain space, meaning, obviously the deaths are horrible. What happened to people, not so great. The fact that the economy's devastated. But again, focusing on how do we look at the positive side of things. We've seen, I believe, we've seen technology really advance at a fairly rapid clip in like 2 or 3 months. We've seen blockchain projects really adapting and finding focal points, meaning that we're seeing people emphasize and focus in on how do we take this technology to the next level? How do we improve our existing life uh, outside of our brick and mortar institutions, behind the doors inside our homes? How do we keep working in an environment where we stay social, yet we maintain social distancing? And through the blockchain space, and I think about what that really means, because here we are, what are we facing? We're facing multiple different issues, and this is where blockchain really adheres, really applies. One space where blockchain is going to apply, and it's applying right now, is in healthcare. Think about all of the scientists all over the world that are doing research to try to find a solution, whether it's a medicine or whether it's a vaccine or whatever it might be. But if they're doing research in their own silo and keeping their data in their own silo, that doesn't advance the cause fast enough. However, if scientists all over the world were in an open source research environment, a lot of times people hold research, so close to them that nobody else knows what's going on because there's this sense of competition. But now imagine you take all that research, all those data points, and you gather them into one decentralized research project for the ultimate solution that's going to help everybody around the world. But imagine everybody looking at this data pool and logging in and saying, oh my God, they find that oh my God moment where they realize that person over here and person over here said something amazing that now clicks for them. That is a monumental focal point change of what blockchain can bring to this space. Obviously, from a financial perspective, we could see how blockchain and cryptocurrency, but this discussion over digital currency globally can change. How about from a supply chain perspective, protecting our foods, protecting our medicines, protecting the masks that are coming out of China and elsewhere, being able to see from the origin of the raw material all the way through the finished product. Imagine a supply chain existing on blockchain right now and how that would impact the world. Imagine a world where the voting was already online but managed in a blockchain environment because all of your data, all of your license, your information, everything was already gathered into this blockchain database. So that way they clean the rolls, the voting rolls of people that had died, people that had moved out of a state. I'm talking about in the United States. They moved from one state to the other. All the falsified registrations that are on the voting rolls. Imagine, being able to take all of that and cleaning it up for the betterment, of our community. And this can be achieved through blockchain, a voting structure on the blockchain. So there's so many amazing things that can happen. Our food sources, our food supplies. Right now, I think one of the things that happened during this crisis period is that we realized that our supply chains were broken, mainly because our supply chains were reliant on other countries for the continuation of that supply chain. Now, one of the things that I've mentioned on here, and it's something I learned in Econ 101 years and years and years ago, was the donut theory. The donut theory was, it means that you have in the core of all productivity is where you have the manufacturing element. Outside of manufacturing is where you have all the services. But what happened in the United States years ago is they removed all the manufacturing and you left a big hole, a gaping hole in the economy. So in this donut theory, economic donut theory, we missed out on a key component. And then what happens once you remove the manufacturing is that the economy can implode very quickly when you're facing a black swan event. So here we are facing this black swan event, and the core, our supply chain, our manufacturing, all this key component had already been removed years and years ago. And then we find out how truly vulnerable we are country to country, whether it's in the US or elsewhere, where most of our textile and main manufacturing is over in China. Now, China shuts down, it impacts the whole supply chain. Now we see this black swan event that impacted the whole world, and there's now some discussion and they're showing that during that period of crisis that China was actually seeding the virus around the world, mainly because there were still people flying, whether it was on purpose or by accident. People were leaving and flying all over the world. Now imagine an environment where you're able to see this in advance, meaning that I'm talking about on the supply chain. You're predicting the potential of a breakdown somewhere in the supply chain. Now, if you have all of your productivity, emphasized in one area, in one country, and that country reaches an epidemic moment, it obviously creates a breakdown. When that epidemic moment is all over the world, then you start to see the tension. And right now, when you have medicines and you have the raw materials and you have a lot of the electronics and you have processing of foods and textiles and everything in one country, you have a major major crisis on your hands. And that is exactly what was revealed during this period of time. The other part of that is that even now, even the most essential rescue elements in the PPE and in the masks, the one thing that governments or even with the World Health Organization or others said, hey, everybody should wear a mask to protect themselves or others from them. But yet the majority in the United States, more than 65% of the masks that reached the United States were fake and did not even meet the minimum standards, the minimum criteria of that 95%. Now, if they were tracked from raw material all the way through production in a blockchain environment, that would have been recognized and seen. So the point is that from every tragedy, sometimes a rose will blossom. Sometimes there's something positive that can come out of a tragedy. And that's exactly what we've seen here. Hey, I hope to see many more great things coming out of this horrible tragedy that the world faced. But we always have to look forward. We always have to stay positive because there are really better things and more amazing things ahead for all of us, all of you, all of us. I look forward to seeing you on the next show. Let's check out the links below because we have the website onthechain.io. Go down there, check out the website. Go to the bottom of the website, register for our email newsletter. The email newsletter will get out eventually. Right now, register for that. Go check out our live channel because we're doing live content. We have an amazing guest coming up on Thursday. We're going to announce it later today when you guys join us on the live stream on the other channel. So in the meantime, this is Jeff, and I am out of here.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.